All we hear in the media is one specific message about Taiwan, and usually it's about politics, usually it's about chips.
That's pretty much it, to be honest.
So there's a completely different side to Taiwan why a lot of people come here, and that's the environment. The environment, and it's nothing that we really hear about. And there's one or two articles that have been written that really show this place is pretty amazing, like for mountains, for coral reefs and things like that.
That was the whole reason that we wanted to do the show in the first place. That is because we know that a lot of people doing things for our environment, for the ocean, and we think that they're not getting enough recognized.
Yeah, they don't get the exposure.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Aziz Mulla. You're listening to the Ripple Effect podcast, where we discuss some of the most current issues in and around Taiwan and why they should matter to you. After all, whatever we choose to do or not do can create ripples that have major consequences. This series is brought to you by TaiwanPlus, in association with our original docuseries, Our Ocean. Now, let's not waste any more time and dive right in.
I'm your host for today, Morris. I am the producer of the show. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about some behind-the-scenes stuff for one of the documentary series that we have on our channel called Our Ocean, The Fight for Sustainability. And that's really the whole reason why we're having this podcast, really, is to continue the conversation that were brought up or some of the discussion points that we wanted to continue forward with that we had in the documentary. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Aziz, as you know, and I'm currently a postdoc Taida, National Taiwan University. When filming, I was working at Academia Sinica. But now I'm at lovely Taida in Taipei.
And I'm Kai. I'm the producer of this docuseries.
Yes.
I'm a filmmaker, but most of our films are not technically related to the ocean, but I was graduated from NTU as well.
Congratulations. Was I your professor?
No.
You have a name.
Yeah, I majored in life science, so I got a little bit of background about life, about biology and ocean, and that's why I have a interest about this to start in this show.
Speaking off of that, when you guys approached us and we were like, we looked at their what they filmed and what they've made, and we're like, there's nothing related to the ocean. That's so this is. I mean, it's for me. It was like, this is really interesting because they had a really nice proposal, and it actually ended up being pretty much similar to what we actually ended up filming. Yeah, I was like, oh wow, interesting, because you guys do like commercials and.
Yeah, most of the time,
commercials. And you guys worked on like a movie even?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we do like all kinds of productions, right. like movies and TV movies and drama, stuff like that.
Right. So what was it like doing your first, docu-series on something just like completely out of your...
I think the things that are different is that when we doing the docu-series, it's most like a show, so you can plan everything like scripted for everything, like because Aziz is the host. Whatever he says is scripted, but for the people who we are interviewing and also filming what they're doing, they're nothing can script about that.
You can't expect what they're gonna say word for word. Yeah,
yeah, and also the planning was pretty hard because everybody had their own schedule. Like when we go to different islands, we have to fit in the shooting schedule to their schedule.
Yeah, I imagine that was because I got to kind of experience what it's like to film out, having to travel in all these different places around Taiwan. Yeah. I mean, for a lot of our other shows on TaiwanPlus, they're based in Taipei, so it's kind of easy to do like a day trip and you don't have to worry about accommodation. Yeah. But for that one, you travel to not just like Taiwan, but like the off islands, right? Like Penghu and and you have to deal with the weather too.
Yeah.
We were quite lucky with the weather, though, right? I mean, we were quite lucky.
Yeah. Most of the time, we're getting lucky.
I seem to remember getting sunburnt in Xiaoliuqiu.
Yeah. The only time that's gonna the weather's not doing our favor is when we get back from Xiaoliuqiu.
Yeah.
We're trying to film Aziz getting on and getting off the cruise ship, the shuttle ship from Xiaoliuqiu to where?
To Donggang?
To Donggang, yeah. We're trying to film that and the camera crew tells us, "Oh, you're gonna sit here, and we're gonna do this and that."
Yeah.
But then when the boat leaves the shore, and it's so
like a
wavy,
typhoon.
so everybody, oh, no, we're not shooting anymore.
Luckily, I'm okay because I'm used to being on boats, so I was fine. But I just looked across at the whole crew, and they're all like,
No,
like
because the camera's literally flying.
Yeah.
Because
It
the
was
ship's
not
gonna
good
ups
condition.
and downs, and we're gonna.
You couldn't see outside the window anyway because there was so much water being splashed in.
So what was it?
wasn't-
Was it like? Did you have to like walk, or like was it like a scenic like?
You did manage to get some footage of getting
Yes,
on and
some,
off, but during the
Oh,
We were trying to film something like Aziz is excited about this about this trip and take the boat to Xiaoliuqiu, stuff like that. But then because of all of the waves and ups and downs, we couldn't get the exciting part.
it sounds really
that's kind
exciting.
of like real Taiwan, though, right? That's how it is in the sea around us. Like most of the time, it's like that.
It's reality, yeah. Can we please get a director's cut of this? Like 4 minutes of you just like. I mean, speaking of that, so again, like I wasn't on most of the like during the filming period. So were there any other like interesting like blips or or was it all like pretty smooth as you
I think everything was very professional and everything was very
perfect?
Can you think of any? I think for most of it, it was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I remember most is I didn't realize how much I don't smile because every 5 seconds, Kai would be like, "Oh, that's really good, but can you do it smiling? Because you look miserable." I'm like, well, it is 40 degrees and I'm walking along a beach for...
We're talking about how the ocean is dying.
It's very serious.
Yeah. He's like waking up like 6 or 5 in the morning and trying to do.
And I had to memorize the lines. Everyone's like, "Oh, did you have an autocue?" I'm like, "No, I had to memorize the..."
You did it really
lines.
well, though, memorizing
Thank
it.
you very much. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted. No, but I think for the most part, it was really fun. It was a good experience for me because obviously I don't really do this.
Right, this is your first time.
Yeah, pretty
On
much
camera?
first time
Yeah.
to kind of do something like this.
Did you hesitate when they asked you, when Kai was like, "Hey, do you want to..."
It was through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Someone recommended.
Who's going to be on the show?
Who's going to be on the
later
show?
Who is it?
in the
Jialing.
episode?
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jialing.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
everyone knows
Okay.
Jialing, of course.
Oh, wow.
And at first, because I just finished my PhD, so I was kind of like a bit more free, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not too sure," because it's a big step going from academia into media.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a bit risky as well to do that. But I think the first time we sat down in a cafe
Yeah.
for like 3 hours. After that, it was kind of, I think that I was more, okay, this is all right. As long as I can have some input and I'm not just spewing
You're just
stuff out.
the spokesperson.
Yeah, so it was a new experience for sure. But it is a very different world in academia to media, for sure.
If you're really enjoying what you're listening to or what you're watching so far, please share with the people around you. Don't forget to also subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and we'll get right back to the show. Yeah, speaking of that, I was actually curious about like trying to convey research results. Sorry, that sounded really unprofessional. Research results, whatever you call it.
That's better.
Whatever you call it. But yeah, just like about, I think this goes into education, which we will talk about in another episode. But, as a researcher, trying to do things for, to discover what we don't already know and hopefully help and ultimately help the general public versus, through media, like directly talking to a camera. I mean, did you feel was it like a tangible difference for you, or were you like, I just need to get these lines memorized?
I think there's a huge difference between academia and kind of what we can put out to like the general public. Because if we were to present some of like my results and things like that, I think people would fall asleep.
Right.
Even though for us it's very interesting, I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to it's not so friendly to do that. So that's kind of a good role the media can do. They can really not simplify stuff, but they can really get a general idea out there very fast. So the kind of the thing that I equate it to is when we go to conferences when we go to conferences, academic conferences, we're kind of telling the people that already know this stuff the same thing. But we get excited through the new stuff that we've discovered. And I would say that for me is exciting as well. But again, for the media to convey that, it's difficult. It's really difficult because we don't want it to be boring. We don't want it to. We don't want to bog people down.
Yeah, I think I'm sure we must have had this kind of conversation about like how, I mean, obviously, who we want to make it for, and and we ended up agreeing that this was probably better for the general public, for people who probably who aren't really aware of what's going on. And to be honest, even with like local people too.
Yeah.
Like who's like, for me, like I feel like I've learned so much through watching it, or watching it like 20
I think because the one of the themes is kind of like what Taiwan can do. And that's a kind of good theme, because a lot of the time we tend to kind of downplay the place where we live and kind of discredit and say like, oh, what can this tiny island do?
Right.
And if you think about it on the opposite side, like what is this tiny island doing right now? It's a lot, in terms of our population and how big we are and things like that. And I think Taiwan is doing probably a lot more than other nations, especially in the region as well. And that message is kind of a good message to get out, because that's kind of something I realized during the series.
Instant.
Was that we have a very willing population in Taiwan to go out of it, go and make a lot of effort to try and make a difference. One of the issues with that is it's on a very local scale, and there's not much coordination between them so much to actually make a huge impact. They're making a very good impact for sure, but there's that coordination. So that's kind of something I realized, that the population in Taiwan are more than willing to put themselves out there to try and make their environment better. And I don't think we kind of capture that so well in Taiwan. We don't use it so well to our advantage. And I won't name any other countries, but in other countries, maybe it's not, the population is not so willing to do that without a bit of money behind it. So that's kind of something I realized and I saw in the people that we spoke to.
Is there something that you realized through filming this that you didn't already?
I want to continue with Aziz, what Aziz was saying.
Yeah.
Because that was the whole reason that we wanted to do the show in the first place. That is because we know that a lot of people doing things for our environment, for the ocean, and we think that they're not getting enough recognized.
Yeah, they don't get the exposure.
That they deserve, because most of the media in this country are probably going to go to like when we talk about this, we go to this group. When we talk about that, we go to that group. And a lot of people who are doing things privately, or even though publicly, but like under the radar. But we're trying to let people know that there are a lot of people that are doing nice things for our environment.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised with even just how many different people are doing stuff for, let's say, ecotourism.
Yeah,
like in Penghu, like the fish market tour. I was like, oh, this is actually like, I'm like personally like, this is actually interesting.
Yeah.
When they brought the proposal to us, the name was literally what would Taiwan do, right? That was the original name.
Yeah, that was the original name.
And at first I was like, oh, this is too like, yay, Taiwan. But while filming it, while seeing you guys film it and watching the results, I was like, oh, there are actually a lot of people doing a lot of things.
For sure. For sure. I think with that, I think that title was very insular. Yeah, like it was very like, oh, Taiwan amazing, and it shouldn't be like that at all, because we can sit here all day and criticize Taiwan as well, for sure. And we should be okay to do that too. So on one hand, a lot of people are doing a lot, but on the other hand, some organizations are not doing enough, nowhere near.
Can you name some of them?
But I think that's a big disconnect between local people and the the other organizations that can actually help them make a difference. I think in Taiwan, for example, we're not in need of that many more new NGOs. We have a lot of NGOs already. What we need is kind of like coordination between them and effectiveness and efficient. Are you actually putting pressure on the organizations that can make a difference and things like that? That's more important than, oh, we need a new NGO for X, Y, and Z. And we saw that. We have those people already who are giving up their time, their money, in a lot of cases, and effort, their weekends to go and make a difference.
Was there any part of throughout the series that like any one group or individual that really was like, oh, I didn't know that someone was doing this in Taiwan?
I was the one doing the research. So you probably
He's like, I know it all.
better position to answer
One
this.
thing that kind of struck me was because for my academic career, I would go to Xiaoliuqiu a lot, 3 or 4 times a year sometimes, and
Jealous.
I didn't really get involved because I'm not a conservation ecologist. I'm more of a, kind of pure biologist, or I'm more of a demographer, look at like population change.
Sorry, what's the difference? I'm generally curious.
So like conservation biology is like looking at, these practical approaches to how we can really fix the environment and things like that. So looking at like conservation efforts in terms of Xiaoliuqiu turtles and things like that, how we can protect the environment. Whereas for me, my research focuses more on like how this environment changes over time and what are the underlying mechanisms that cause that change. Is it natural? Is it us? And things like that. So I don't really have that much to do with the public, which is sometimes a bad thing. So one thing which I noticed in Xiaoliuqiu going as for the show was like the beach coin. Stuff like the beach coin stuff. Like I've been to Xiaoliuqiu so much, but I didn't know anything about it. It's just terrible.
I mean, I'm not trying to like criticize it, but I mean, does that say something about the efforts that only an individual or like a small group can make in?
Well, when we filmed that episode, I kind of went away thinking, why don't we do this all over Taiwan? Like, what's stopping that? If we keep it to one island, that's not really going to make that much of a difference. Unfortunately, it does on Xiaoliuqiu, of course. So yeah, like why don't we know about it? Why don't we do it in Taipei? We talk about it all the time. Like, why don't we just put these kind of methods in Taipei? It'd be very easy to do because it can be done. It's been done in Xiaoliuqiu.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of
Right.
the biggest thing I took away from that.
Yeah, but I want to emphasize on that, but because Xiaoliuqiu is a closed ecosystem, not only biologically but also economically.
Yeah.
So when the local shops are much more easier to unify.
Yeah, they coalesce. They work together. They know each other, and that's one thing. Like in Taipei, one side is the other. You don't know. Yeah.
So and the environment is not big as an impact for, like we say in the Taipei city center. Yeah. Yeah. But it does in fact the shops in Xiaoliuqiu. So that's why they can unite the shops owners.
But then again, it's that other side. These are the local people doing it. It's the coordination which is lacking. Like we could do that because we do it all the time with everything. With any policy that's put in place, we all follow it. So if we, that's where the kind of policy side of it comes in. That it should be maybe a law or something like that.
Just saying. I was curious about like if you guys would ever do something like
no.
That's what I thought. That's why I wrote this question down. Would you do it again, or was it like, oh, this production was just?
No, I think I'll definitely do it again. And no matter it's another season about ocean, or we could do something else. Because we have a lot of people working in environment like in the mountains and also in a lot of areas. So I think I would do it again because it was a lot of fun traveling around Taiwan and see a lot of the things at the first time. And knowing people, what people are doing for our environment. I think that's good.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Season 2.
I think because I'm quite lucky in Taiwan. Like I travel around quite often, like diving here and there. But it's a very different kind of experience to first stay on land and not go in the water and do it, but to see how people are actually helping, because I think that's the kind of big disconnect as well between academia and kind of conservation as well, that we feel we're both kind of making a difference, but in very different ways. And we should kind of work more together in this. So I think that's kind of a good experience for me to be able to see this firsthand.
I the one thing that I think it's really nice that Kai found you. Well, we got like an academic, someone who works in academia to take a big part, right? Not just hosting, but like actually in the development of the script and all that kind of stuff. Because I think if we were to just get like a host for this show, I think it would have less of a. I mean, I would have loved to see like more about like your personal input. I know you already have, but I agree. I think it's nice to sort of merge these two worlds together.
For sure. I think a lot, we talk about this, like a lot of people are probably interested in a lot more academic work than they think, because a good thing, we spoke about Professor Brian Cox and things like that, like how to actually communicate. He's a physicist from the UK, and he's, very complicated ideas about the universe. He's able to simplify and communicate effectively. And that's kind of what we wanted as well, to talk about. And we always say this, like, but it's kind of true, like the unique positioning of Taiwan, in the Indo-Pacific, and to actually communicate that. And I think in the final production, it wasn't heavy at all. It was very, light and breezy, and it's easy to digest, which is good. Because if you read one of our papers, oh God, you need a couple of drinks with you for sure. Yeah.
What was the first one you guys filmed? Do you remember?
With Aziz, I think it's Go to Shallow.
Yeah, Shallow.
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
oh wow, we had like a
the trip to Shallow.
Cultural shock.
Yeah, I think my lab was there at the time.
Yeah,
so we were like filming and working at.
You're working there as well.
Yeah, when we're filming the Jolin and his sea turtle spot, 海龟点点名. When they're doing the research in the sea, when we're filming, when they put on the equipment and stuff, and his teacher is upstairs.
Oh, just casually like.
And his teachers also there, right?
Yeah. It was a weird time. Yeah, generations.
Did they know that you were there filming?
Yeah, they did. He knew I was filming. Yeah, and I think this is another thing as well. Like, kind of older generations of people in academia are very not against this, but they're kind of like wary of it, like because you media people like to spin everything. and the thing is that usually in the scientific community, our voice on things like this is usually the same. Like what we should be doing and what is effective, and that is a kind of big difference as well between people who are into conservation and academia. We feel like we want to go from A to B straight. Like this is what you need to do to fix it.
Right.
Whereas in conservation, it's kind of you could do this, you could do that, you could do that. Whereas there's always a bigger, more straightforward solution.
Right.
That usually the government don't want to do.
I think there's always like for media at least, I feel like there's always a marketing side to it. There's always
Right. Well, that's one thing that I said to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife. I said to her, I think we're doing it for very different reasons, and I think this, like maybe Taiwan, like the media is doing it for exposure. Of their own products,
I see.
Which is a good intention behind it. Maybe Kai's doing it for money, I guess. No, Kai's doing it maybe for experience on this, or for your portfolio, or because maybe you care about it as well. Yeah. I'm not sure. But for me, it's kind of like none of that stuff. It's more to kind of get this message out there that, oh my God, look at this amazing place that we have, and look how badly we're treating it. So we're kind of aiming for the same thing in a way, but different.
Right. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, there's a reason why
you guys want likes.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook.
Which is not bad because there is a big role social media plays in that. When we publish a paper, we want to get it on social media for sure. So there is a role there, but we're aiming for very different things.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're publishing something, whether it's a paper or if it's like a video, like if no one's watching it, then there's actually no point.
Almost like what's the point?
Yeah, so go watch the docuseries.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another reason why we did this show. I don't know. Maybe Kai, you could speak on this about like how to get the message across in a way that's not, because we want to get people to be aware of it. We don't just want to, raise attention to Taiwan. Like, hey, look at us, we're doing this. I mean, there's a big part of creating something for that talks about climate change, that talks about the ocean, biodiversity and preservation and all that kind of stuff. There's a big part of it that's about, guys, you guys should look at this and be wary of this. And we've heard so many different kinds of lectures and speeches, but is that something that you like, the tone? Like, is that something that you guys tried to craft when you were coming up with the script, working with Michael, who was also working on this script?
Yeah, I think we're aware of that. People, audience don't like to be lectured on,
right?
So we're really trying to raise their curiosity at first. So in each episode, we were told them what we're gonna talk in this episode, and we're gonna show them things that hopefully gonna interest them, and then we're gonna explain why things like that happen or why we take this action. Why people are doing this and doing that. So that's the thoughts behind our design of the script. Is that we try to make you curious about it, and we explain it. That doesn't sounds like explanation rather than just telling you what you want to know.
I think as well, because I think half of it was about what we're doing in Taiwan, and the other half is like, oh, what if we spread these ideas across the region? It would be good. I think that's kind of good as well, because all we hear in the media is one specific message about Taiwan, and usually it's about politics. Usually it's about chips.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest.
That's pretty much it, right? So there's a completely different side to Taiwan why a lot of people come here, and that's the environment. The environment, and it's nothing that we really hear about. And there's one or two articles that have been written that really show this place is pretty amazing, like for mountains, for coral reefs and things like that. And we speak about it all the time, like where else can you climb to 3,000 meters, slide down a mountain into coral reefs? Like
I feel like that's sort of like a big disparity in terms of how a lot of the people who live here. I mean, when I say here, I'm speaking on my personal experiences of living in the city, right?
You're from Taipei, right?
Yeah, I know.
You stink of it.
I saw your face. You're like, you're from Taipei, right? Yeah. But yeah, like I actually my cousin just flew in a couple months ago, and it's like her second time in Taipei. The last time was like 10 years ago, and I asked her, she was asking me for recommendations, and I mean I gave her some of like the usual stuff, right? But then she was like, oh, is there any like I heard like the mountains and the ocean and all the like the natural landscape that a city boy will never know anything about. Like I'm like, there's a hill behind my house. There's a lake across of my but yeah, I mean I feel like that's like part of I was just gonna say like part of this show is to sort of align what we have.
Taipei is like 5% of Taiwan. Like even
really?
That, it is nothing. Like because Taipei is quite a relatively small city compared to other places. And I don't understand this disconnect at all, because I've been to your office, Morris, and you can see mountains from your desk.
Can I?
Yes.
The only mountain I see is the pile of documents.
And so we are never far away from it. If we want to go to Yanminsan, it's 20-minute driving. So it's there for us already. It's about pushing people into that to go, it's actually amazing what you can see and experience and things like that. So get out of the city. And I really kind of push for Taiwan to do that, to get people towards the south, to center, towards like places like Taidong, to the islands and things like that.
When was the last time you guys went to a natural environment?
Natural environment.
Mountain, ocean?
I think it was for me a couple of weeks ago, Shaliocho.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
If Shaliocho is still a natural environment, if you can call it that. But yeah, Shaliocho. Or I go cycling all the time. So I was in Wulai. Wulai is pretty.
Yeah.
Natural place.
Where's that? No, I'm just kidding. How about you?
I was in Hualien last week
Filming?
So, So I go to Tailuge. So that's.
Oh, I saw your picture. Yeah, it looked very nice. I was jealous.
Oh wow.
So like Aziz said, we were pretty lucky as a Taiwanese that we can travel to the mountains and to the sea in relative short time, because we were chatting about in other places you're gonna like
it's very difficult. Yeah,
it takes hours of driving just to get to the.
Well, in the Great Barrier Reef, you need 2-3 days to get to the reef.
Is that true?
Yeah, here in Taiwan, we leave at 7 and we're diving by 12. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's very disheartening to come back to Taipei and, what have you been doing? Oh, I'm diving. They're like, we have corals in Taiwan? It's kind of, it's something like I said, we're not using so well. Yeah. We're not promoting so well. I think during COVID, obviously things changed a lot with diving and free diving especially. A lot of people went to do this because obviously we were pretty all right in Taiwan, so people took this sport up. However, I think now that the borders are open and things like that, it's just going to kind of go back to normal.
Yeah.
But it's about knowing about it, but it's about appreciating it, about using it to the best of our ability as well, and selling it around the world as well is a huge thing. Sell this commodity that we have, that we can bring people here and get people out of Taipei and into the mountains.
Other than watching the videos, share it, please. But yeah, I mean, a lot of a lot of the things I see, whether through what you guys have, what we filmed, or just scrolling through Instagram or something, that I'm like, oh wow, this is Taiwan. This is so cool. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's about like really when we think of Taiwan around the world, not having this one view of what it is or what we hear from kind of other media on it. Usually when Taiwan's in front page of the BBC, it's never a good thing.
You're like, wait,
what's happening? Yeah. And then my family's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Like
nothing.
Yeah. It's getting that message out there of how amazing it is, like in terms of the environment and Taipei as well. Yeah, Taipei is a great city, of course, for the most part. But the environment around is crazy. Yeah.
There's one thing I want to share.
Yes, please.
We were discussing about writing an article about how the Taiwanese are the younger generations are more open to going to the outdoor environment, but our father or our grandparents, they are for several reasons they are like prohibited or just down in their psyche that we don't want to go to the sea, we don't want to go to the mountains. It's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
For various reasons, dangerous.
Yeah,
like physically dangerous.
There's no 7-Eleven.
Physically dangerous because you could be in danger in the natural environment, and also there are traditional religious to think that those places are dangerous with their ghosts and stuff,
like superstition.
Superstitious. Yeah. And also there are political reasons to ban people to getting into the close to the ocean, to the mountains. So I think take a positive view on this. The younger generations are getting more likely to go to the outdoors of our Taiwan's nature.
Yeah, I think that's a really amazing thing for Taiwan. It was pretty unique because the jump from older generations to younger is massive. It's huge. And there was just some research published yesterday from Pew actually that talked about views of older people and younger people in Taiwan and how different they are. One was on same-sex marriage, for example. So like 75% of older generations don't agree with it, but it was about, I think it's like 10 or 15% of younger people don't agree with it. So there's a huge disparity there. Yeah. And one of the issues is that the people who are actually making policy at the moment are those older generations for younger people. This is kind of not unique to Taiwan, of course.
Yeah.
And so you have a big chunk of the population very unhappy with what's kind of happening because they don't have those views anymore. They go in the ocean. And the thing is about Taiwan, the environment is dangerous. Like the environment can be dangerous for sure, but it's about our education as well. Like when we should go swimming, when we shouldn't, when we should go hiking or not. Right. That's really important too. But yeah, I totally agree. Like there's this totally different generational kind of trend.
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, we got like, I think one of the schools in our last episode.
Yep.
They talked about exactly this. Like they get students to kayak and go in the water, you know, and the students going back to their parents be like, oh, what'd you get, you know, they're like, oh, wow, that isn't that dangerous? Like, you know, people think of getting like kids disappearing or
I do it all the time in like classes at university. Like I show pictures of the coral and put 10 pictures on the board and ask the students like where are they from, and they say Australia, the Red Sea, blah blah blah, and things like this. I said they're all from Taiwan. They're all from about 2 hours from like it's here. We have this here.
Yeah.
But why don't we know about it?
Yeah, like I think that's the thing.
One thing, which why don't we know about it? And I think it is that generational lag of people were prohibited from going in, and that's also super interesting why that happened and things like that. And the environment kind of suffered because of that, because it doesn't have there was no education on it and things like that. Right. Whereas now things are really changing. I think there's also a big difference between the south and the north of Taiwan as well. In the south, people I think are more connected to their environment than in the north as well. So. You know, we always think in the north in Taipei we can kind of teach the south stuff, but I think they can teach us a lot as well. I mean, I was working with people in Green Island, captains who didn't use GPS to get around because he knows the island, he lives and breathes the island, and like that. So that's very special.
I can't imagine without Google Maps.
Exactly.
How do you live?
I agree.
But I mean, going back to like the production side of things, there's this one episode about like the stone weirs and how this young lady is, you know, I mean, she literally said in the episode, like she was, like there were a lot of older people from the older generation sort of telling her like, why are you back doing this? Like there's no value, economic value, or, you know, we don't get any fish like we used to. But that's like literally the point, right? Like because we're losing all these biodiversity and things are going, you know, fish and all these, they're depleted. That's why we need sustainable fishing methods, and that's what we need. We need her. We need the younger generation to bridge that gap, because the older generation, from what she has said, it seems like they used to do it and they loved it and it's their way of life. But, you know, modern technology and all that kind of stuff has kind of hindered them.
I think we shouldn't like bash older people too much, because also we kind of learn a lot from them as well. I learn a lot from like a lot of older people who tell me what it was like growing up in Taiwan during that time. Now I'm always like, what was the climate like? And they're always like, oh, it was fine. Like we turned the AC on 2 or 3 times this summer. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and that is so valuable to us because it really spurs us on to go, oh, there has been a huge change over a very short period of time. With the stone weirs, I didn't really know much about that. I went to there's a lot in Penghu. I was in Penghu when I went. That's really interesting as well, because that is very much people in the ocean, how they interact with the ocean. And I think Taiwan went through a period of high interaction with the ocean to very low, to now it's kind of recovering, but nowhere near as it was. And the stone weirs are kind of a relic of that. People used to be very in tune with their environment.
You were in that episode. In the stone weir, like you were like on camera.
I was one of the tourists. In the stoneware tour.
Was that your first time?
No. I was in a lot of episodes.
No, I said like, was that your first time on that stoneware tour?
Yeah, of course.
It was. Okay,
so it's very interesting to me. As we were saying, the stoneware is what the people in Penghu used to fish. But then they're getting extinct from the modern technology of fishing, like radars and modern motorboats and stuff. So the stonewares are dying in Penghu, but the thing interesting is that we could still have take some values in the culture and the history of that. So people like Fuzi, the one in the episode, they're trying doing the stoneware tour. So they took the culture and the history and put that into the guide, the tour guide, and to introduce how people are used to use those kind of weird.
Right.
And
And Taiwan has like the most in the world.
For now, I think for now, yeah, because most
but by a lot.
Yeah, by a lot.
That was really shocking to me.
Yeah.
Also very shocking to me when I was doing the research.
Research.
I was asking Foods and like, she gave me the statistic, and I was like, "Is it real?"
No wonder we don't have any space.
like 70 to 90% of the stoneware that are left in this earth are on Penghu.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Cool. And it's iconic as well. Like the one in Chime, I think. The hat one is iconic as well. So already it's making money. Like already we can do that. It's an attraction already, which is cool.
Right. Yeah.
And also about the fish market tour. Also, we were at Penghu. We interviewed some captains, and they were all saying that the fishery are much more lower than they were used to.
Yeah.
So the fish market, of course, is not as busy as they were like decades ago. But for fish market tours, they could also bring another life to the market or the culture behind it, because she's gonna introduce them about what this fish is and how they were caught, and things about the little how do you bit in the fish market. Yeah, they also introduced that. So that was very interesting.
Japan does it as well. Like when I was in Tokyo, I go to the fish market and eat sushi. And but there's another way we can kind of sell it then, like you said, revive it as well in a more sustainable way as well.
Yeah.
If we're not catching as many fish anymore, then there has to be another viable option to keep communities like that alive. Otherwise, no one wants to live on Penghu, right? I gotta disagree on that. just the environment alone. Every time I go to Penghu, it's either extremely hot or very horrible weather. So I have a very bad relationship. But the corals there are stunning.
Yeah.
In the south, especially. Go to like Southern Islands, they're amazing. Yeah. Really
What's is there like a favorite spot?
I think just outside of Chime, there's I'm going to say some words that mean nothing to you now, but Acropora forest. So there's a particular type of coral that grows, and it just looks like a purple forest. They're growing all vertically. It's very unique, very, very nice.
Yeah, I just blanked out. Yeah. Acupuncture? Sorry. Anything else from Kai? Do you want to share anything?
Well,
behind the scenes?
Not much. Not be honest. We're just trying to say that we put a lot of effort trying to tell the world how Taiwanese people are doing to protect our environment and our ocean, and they're doing a lot of things that I think are unique to the world, and also some of the things are common in the world, of course, but a lot of things are very unique, and that's probably only happen in Taiwan. So I think it would be definitely worth it to take a look at our show.
And I think it showed that Taiwanese people are open. Yeah. They're open to collaboration and things like that, 100%.
Yes,
like people come and work alongside us, take ideas from Taiwan.
Please take our ideas. But credit us.
But also help us.
Yes. Exactly. Hey there. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you actually really enjoyed what you saw or heard, please share with the people around you and let them know the importance of protecting our environment. We also believe that there's never going to be enough conversation about topics related to environment protection. So let us know if you have any questions or even criticisms. We'd love to bring you more shows like this in the future. Thank you so much once again, and we hope to see you really, really soon, and stay connected. Bye.